What up, what up? Late movie Monday, but we still accomplished something this week. We're not doing two generations this movie Monday. Um, we were very quick at being able to cover 9 films last week. But this will be even quicker in that we are only covering 4. And that's just kind of the pace we were working at. That it was just kind of easier making it through the 2 generations of Gen 1 and Advanced. Well, Gen 1 and 2 and Advanced, but you catch my drift. Original Gen and Advanced. For their movies, and man, it's like a whole different vibe after, I feel. So we'll start at the good. Especially being at the Darkrai, Rise of Darkrai. With the only maybe exception to what I'm about to say being Arceus a little bit at points. This is the last of and I don't know, a little bit of Garantina too, but mainly the Darkrai film is the last of these movies feeling bigger, larger than life, a little bit, or larger than the TV show especially. And in those aspects are able to create a lot more deeper characterization for the world of Pokemon. And that's always great. I think I like a lot of what goes on in this movie, honestly. To me, it's surprisingly good for how surprisingly cheap and kind of strung together a bit, like all of these Pokemon movies are in a lot of ways. But like, for what it's doing, it is a little weak in what it's pulling and stringing together. But at the end of the day, it works enough. I think it's honestly surprisingly solid. And I think that works for me. I think it feels larger than life enough. And it's honestly, even within how cheap and kind of like campy it is, it surprisingly has some twists. Not really twists, but like turns that are like moments that will surprise you to the point of like, this is a little bit deeper than what I was expecting, and this is a little bit more of like what I'm used to maybe with the original generation of movies, and just how deep and strong they are with their feelings and just what they're trying to get to with their themes. And that's always a good thing. I like movies. I like strongly themed films, honestly, a lot. More than I like anything else, or the latter. So, that's Rise of Darkrai for the most part. I don't know. It's still to me, it still has the finishing up on Darkrai. It still has a little bit too much of what is like the TV show has kind of come with. It's a lot better than what we had just gotten in terms of Pokemon films, especially like with Ranger, and feeling a lot less like a Pokemon movie. Especially in like voice acting, like everything in Pokemon Ranger is just a little off. And this is more of a return to form, and I think it just goes on pretty good. I think it's otherwise pretty solid of a film. It isn't too long. It's just 90 minutes. Yeah, I just so we're finally getting at like kind of a lot of Pokemon can talk now. I'll be bringing this up multiple times during the video, but Darkrai can talk, and I at least think with one of the better kind of Pokemons to have talk. It is one where I do kind of agree with it. I think it should be maybe talking less to little to minimum, but I think it at least works in this film. And I think Darkrai in general, I think for real, a lot it's like surprisingly a little bit deeper than like what you would think on like the surface level of like what the movie is and is about is like, yeah, surface level, it's a bit, so goofy kid, and we understand that, but then has surprisingly deeper kind of themes that it's kind of touching and getting not in the weeds with, but like still, it's still like, hey, we understand, we get it. It can be a little bit deeper and stronger for people. And I think that's still that's pretty admirable. It's better than what we were getting with Ranger, which was just off. Deeper or not in that movie, like it had some things going for it, but I was just kind of getting like frustrated by it, which kind of turned into a little bit of the same thing as we'll get with the end of. I think the advanced generation is going to be similar to just kind of how I feel about the Sinnoh generation as a whole, like just wrapping those together up into their own little summaries. But we'll move on from the Darkrai movie. I overall, like, really, really enjoyed it, though. Like, legit. 6 out of 10 is what I say. Like as a legit movie, pretty good. Maybe even better just from everything I've said about it. It's just still, like, kind of cheaper and, like, missing some stuff, I feel. Just kind of missing a little bit more of a punch. Like, it has some of the camp, but, like, not. That's the thing. It's, like, it's campy, but it's not enough. It's emotional, but not enough. And, like, you got, like, cool space kaiju things, but then also, haha, we have, like, dark matter, Darkrai, blah, 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 in your dreams. There is another world. Like, stuff like that. Like, it works, but then it's just not going enough, I feel. Just not doing enough. So, on to the next, which is Garantina and the Sky Warrior. Which I honestly really I dug it, too. I dug this one a lot, too. It feels bigger and it feels more expensive, but really it is still kind of cheap. It's just kind of using that money a lot better, and like I think you can just tell whenever a movie is doing that, a more well budgeted and well spent film. You can usually tell in that visual department, and I like to see it. I always like to see it for animated films doing that. It usually just spells a better and more consistent visual direction. And better kind of stuff flowing and all that behind the scenes. And I think the positives are the having strong direction. It's still a bit campy. It's fun overall. It isn't taking itself too seriously. And this one, even like the other ones, take it much more seriously. We'll get into. It doesn't take itself too seriously until, like, hey, Shaman, bye-bye, I'm going bye-bye now. And, like, I still even think with the amount that this film goes into another level of, like, emotional resonance, it's not as deep as other Pokemon films, but it's trying to carry some beats that we've seen before, which is then where I get into where the movie's a little bit more flawed. It at least carries generally a lot of the more Pokemon emotional beats to resonate with throughout the most, and so then I feel it's not too cheap of like Ash is being a little crybaby now that Shaman's leaving. Like, it's always been a little bit of established that not Shaman, but that Ash is emotional, and so like then them leaving, I think it fails. I think it fits, and it feels nice. I think it's equally not shining so much of like a weird spotlight on a character like Dawn in all these movies that we'll go over is actually a better characterization, and then her smaller forms that she does get to be more characterized actually then just let her be more differently herself, and compared to like how strongly in other ways they characterize Misty, they tried to do a little bit of that some stuff with May and in different kind of ways in the movies, and those I felt like it was to a negative extent of shoving May inside the films as like other extra stuff for like maybe characterization ways. But I feel Dawn was done a lot better and is done a lot better in these films, characterization wise, and I mean, it's space kaiju's fighting, man, like. Or sort of still. I mean, that was the last movie. My bad. I just have it written down in this movie in its review too, just because it happens at the beginning. Hey, it welcomes you in with whoa, exciting, Garantina, Dialga, and then that kind of just like ends though for the most part until like they can kind of just communicate, blah blah blah. a little bit of a jobber dialogue at the start, but who cares? I didn't find Shaman that annoying, if I'm being honest. Like otherwise, it's a flawed movie in that it becomes a little bit just too repetitive, too samey, and too just like a bit strung along and boring. And to me, so then I'm like, I just overall can't give it as high as I was given the other films, and so I'm leaving it at a 5 out of 10 in terms of my review. But it still otherwise won me over. I still had a good time. I still like Garantina, but this is a movie that's really reflecting like a lot of the time like Pokemon advertising, including the Garantina, like these tropes that we've like completely handed over and established into the Pokemon canon. It's especially because of films like this where it is otherwise just, hey, Garantina, buy platinum, Garantina, buy platinum, buy platinum, buy platinum. Otherwise, I still enjoyed it. I thought Shaman was pretty sick. I didn't think they were that annoying. I mean, we're getting into the complaints of Pokemon all being able to talk now and everything. And at least in this one, that like if we're being like legit on like how I feel about certain ones and maybe keeping it for certain legendaries and stuff, I felt Darkrai is one that like I'm willing to let them pass. I'm willing to let things like Deoxys eventually like learn and let that pass. I'm willing to let like stuff like that where like if they show a level of like emotional intelligence and the ability to then learn to a certain extent. As long as they're not like I guess a literal monkey, they're gonna I would think maybe figure it out with their mouth and shit. Like whatever. Like in Shaman's case, this movie honestly is like I mean it's a little like the previous is a little deeper than you are kind of expecting, in that it's doing a lot to like put you in the driver's seat of like a parent and watching your watching something you love grow up in front of your eyes and then knowing that they will have to leave the nest at some point. It's like really quick obviously because it's just like a Pokemon film and going through all that in a film, but it's still trying to like give tiny little bits of extra oomph into what it does have, and I think that's always pretty sick. It's done pretty well. It's not overdoing it either. It still is like just a fun Pokemon film. That's one thing I will say especially just about the whole Sinnoh generation in these movies is they do a lot to like really add more of like the Pokemon being involved into like the hijinks and into what like is happening, and less it's making it a little bit less of like very defined characteristics for what the Pokemon are doing, which is I guess a negative in what that does, but it's still giving like more shine to the Pokemon because they're getting like still more screen time in those aspects. We're still seeing them do stuff, and in other aspects, in ways too, they are still given a lot of fair share of characterization and not like it was in like one of the intros for one of these. Like it's incredibly well thought out and it's incredibly well done. And like to me, those are especially the things that I feel the modern games and all that is like missing. Is that like they want to steal little things from like what makes Pokemon great in those things, but then don't actually follow through with certain levels of characterizing. That world feels like an empty world then instead of. And it just means you see right through all the tricks of it being a game and of it being an RPG and everything and like limited in what really you can do. Like your world seems bigger when you're able to like just let your mind fill out the gaps. So, but I guess I just don't really have a whole lot to say about this movie any further. It's, if you're a huge Garantina mark, you're probably going to dig it, and, like, buy Pokemon Platinum. You probably bought Pokemon Platinum if you love this movie. Beauty. So, moving on, past that, is then Arceus, and, oh my god. I love myself in some Arceus. I liked this movie when I was younger. It is a movie I hold with a little bit more fondness when I was younger, that's for sure. In general, I just dig Arceus as a Pokemon, a character in those aspects, being a legendary. Being a legendary, means a little bit more of a individualized persona established. I feel you are a little bit more important. You are I hold you or try to hold you in certain regards as to like a Mewtwo in those ways. You're maybe not as cool just generally, but still, you deserve a level of prestige, and especially for something like Arceus. So at the end of the day, I just found this movie to be boring though. Just incredibly, incredibly, incredibly boring. Just unbearably so. Unbearably so, and how boring it was. Yeah, I just couldn't. I got through it. I had a fine enough time having the nostalgia of some Pokemon on and watching Arceus and all that, but in a lot of the ways where how the previous films are lacking because they're now sticking to too much of a formula, and in like a very negative sense for Pokemon, like a very, very streamlined, like tropey formula. This film just is that. It's the newest thing that's doing is they're doing like back in time stuff, and they get to just steal Back to the Future of, and we're disappearing, oh my god, we never existed. But past that, it's like kind of it. I still dig Arceus. I just think a lot of what it does is not that entertaining. And yeah, that's like kind of it, really. It's just not, it's not that entertaining. It's like kind of just real boring. And like, no wonder people kind of liked, some people really liked Legends of Arceus, because like you can just like steal anything interesting that like could have been done with this movie and like actually flesh it out in a game sense, because this movie is just tame and boring. Yeah, the Jewel life is like not that cool. Arceus just there's like some cool shots of Arceus. I found some of that stuff interesting with Arceus, but otherwise they just then seem not that cool. Some people really complain about the voice, because then now we have just every single one of these movies has a fucking Pokemon that can talk. And again, this is one where like they're special. They're it's Arceus, like that's a god. To me, the god ones are like ones where I am a little bit more like, okay, maybe not. Maybe they shouldn't even talk because they're like gods. Should they even speak? Should God even speak to you? That's like some of my more, especially like, oh, God's a Pokemon. Like should they be able to really talk to you, just Joe Schmo meeting him? I'm a little more conflicted, but whatever. There's then still a higher being Pokemon, so then they can communicate, but then they communicate like fucking like retards. They fucking. I don't care, like legitimately about how like the Arceus has like feelings that relate to that of the humans and existence and greater feelings, but it still treats it in the seriousness of like Starship Troopers and how they see out life and the meaning on it. It's stupid. That's me like drawing the most dumb faggot conclusions ever, and I don't want to do that. I care about just actually expressing my feelings purely on cinema, and being as entertaining as I can be, and expressing my entertainment, because that should be the thing anyway. Is like, we in our speculation on cinema want to see something we are entertained by and enjoy, and so if you're watching this and feeling my thoughts on it, you then kind of get an idea on what I feel about what I feel entertained by and what I want to see in movies to be entertained, and through that. Movies can do more. Movies can and always will be more, and that's what they're about. And so just do that. It's literally not that hard. I'm like, sorry, Mr. People making movies. It's just not that hard. It really just isn't. and that's why I'll write something, blah blah blah. And but these though, these are just my videos. These are just my like get it out. I hope people can understand these and be entertained at least a little by them. But I just want to share my thoughts. We'll see if I get a little better at editing these. But at the end of the day, it's just about entertaining people with my thoughts on how I'm very passionate about these are some thoughts I'm incredibly passionate about. Movies, I'm incredibly passionate about them. And so when stuff is just like this boring, I get then on rants like this that are just like unrelated, that are just like, oh my god, like why do I have to like take on the smallest little nugget and then nibble until it's like god fucking just horrible mush to the bone of this little nugget that is just boring, because like that's what this movie does. It gets me just like fucking bored and nubbling on the fucking most dumb shit ever, because I just have to be entertained by a couple of cool shots of Arceus, because the rest of it's just boring. That sucks. 4 out of 10. Moving on. Sadly, now we get to Zoroark or whatever. Sorry if I can't fucking pronounce these. Fuck you. But this is just another movie that kind of Masters of Illusions, Zoroark or whatever the fuck. Just another fucking middling movie. Like this one, it started out and I like kind of didn't think it was that bad. I was kind of enjoying a little bit of it, but as I go along, I just kept getting more and more bored than even the last movie, and it was getting trash. It was just getting trashy. It was getting just like unwatchable. Just a movie I wanted to turn off, but if I in a way I feel obligated, and that's never good. That's something you don't want. No movie where you want to turn it off is a good one. Other than maybe Martyrs and like Schindler's List. Like those are like the two exceptions. And like I don't know, I still want to keep Schindler's List going. I still want to keep it on. I want to finish it. This though, no. I was just like, there was another one of these movies that had like a magician in it. I can't even remember. I think it's Heroes. I think it's Pokemon Heroes, I think. I could be wrong. But that had magicians in it. And at no point then was like, that having like some illusion fucking bitch ass Pokemon shit. And like Masters of Illusion, like this movie, I hated it more because it was trying to be like smarter than like your average Pokemon movie. I disliked it more that it was making genuine call-outs to the like corruptibleness of like power and the ability to like influence media, like all that shit. It just got more on my nerves that a Pokemon has the nerves itself to say and comment on any of this shit when it's Pokemon. And on that, it's not like it's gonna comment in any way in that's like real or reasonable or like actually about anything of like substance or value. And it's just a like fucking dumb kiddie bullshit still. It still does nothing, and then still it's not even coherent. It's not like it then brings those up in ideas and ways that are actually that coherent, because Pokemon, they still love the state over there in Japan. Like, you're bringing up these things about a cop loving series. I don't understand what you like want to make a fucking statement about when, like, okay man, capitalism bad. Okay. And nothing was added. It's lame. I don't know. Some people are giving it like positive reviews apparently on Letterboxd for memes like that, and I think that's stupid. Yeah, I think the movie is actually more stupid than it thinks it is, and it's like trying to be smarter than it really thinks it is. And I just really disliked it. I found it to be irritating and as almost as just equally unwatchable as kind of Arceus, but at least Arceus, like I said, I can at least get through it. It's just boring and not entertaining really, and dark at times. This movie, it's animated fine, but it's then even more boring. Cause then really, what is there anything to animate to see? It's just being set up to fail. Cause like especially too, cause like I said, I was sort of getting into it. They had like cool like sports Pokemon. We had Pokemon playing sports. That's always gonna get me hooked. And then it just drops the ball. Fucking pathetic. I'm happy I didn't watch the black and white movies after this, because I'm just fucking upset. I'm just upset, and I'll just have to get it next week because I'm just upset at this stupid shit that I would have to watch this dumb fucking shit. So bad. But anyway, you know, this is me being halfway through the movies. I've otherwise enjoyed myself pretty much past this movie. If we're being honest, I hope they pick it up in black and white, because that generation also has 4 fucking movies, and they better get good, man. They better be good. If not, we'll just suffer through them. We'll suffer. We're suffering through everything but Detective Pikachu. So we'll deal. Alright, I guess that's going to be it for this episode. If you enjoyed, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We'll get a new updated video next Monday. And yeah, just stay tuned, I guess. Bye-bye!